And the overall goal of this room, as all of you are here doing, is every single day we grow a little bit, and usually now through written word. And so we are in Radical Edge, Stephen Farmer. I wasn't with you guys yesterday, so I am optimistic that you guys got started on Smitty and the What's Up pads and that whole process. And yet today, I want to make sure we get through that, really dive deep on that, make sure you guys understand the process, and probably going to wrap up today with scene 12. So that being said, guys, always your room, not mine. What do you have? Give me an update. Let's see where you guys are at.
I read to 32. I just love it. It was enjoyable.
It is great content. I really want to stay on this kind of chapter 5 through 11 section. Make sure we guys are nailing that. So I see lots of mics hot. So, Ann, let's start with you just because it's alphabetical and you're top of the list.
Oh, all right. There we go. I did not get to chapter 33. I didn't get out of chapter 11 because I was like, oh, I love this so much. And I think it's so big and so complex that I think it's worth coming at from a bunch of different angles. So he says, talk about it, right? Talk about it. And then the other guy says, here's what I've noticed. Like he says, here's what I'm noticing. What are you seeing? Like asking these questions of yourself, of people, of everything in your world. And he says, you're not talking about nothing. You're talking about everything you've been observing and thinking about. And you're not doing it to waste time. You're doing it to create new ideas, new ways of serving your customers, and new ways of getting
I can't
more
talk right now.
business.
Can I call you back?
And you're live, Celeste. New ways of getting more business. And this just came at me from so many different angles. Like, first and foremost, I thought, well, golly gee, if that wasn't one Glenn Sanford creating EXP, like talking about, thinking about, listening to, coming up with new ways of doing business, if it is also not almost every single human who has ever joined EXP saying, I don't know, is there anything else out there? No. Oh, I'm never doing that. Oh, why are they doing that? Oh, what would happen if I did that? Oh, crap, why didn't I do that 10 years ago, right? Like, that is all of us. And so I think it's super important and very powerful. I also think it's a little bit like a hurricane, right? Where if you can harness it and sit in the eye of the hurricane of all of these thoughts and everything that the world is talking about, then you can, with focus, dedication, determination, all the Think and Grow Rich stuff, you can create something spectacular. But if you let your chatty monkey, or you let your shiny penny, or you let, those things just keep you chasing the next best thing, it will sink your ship. And I'm literally wearing my shirt today. I'm like, clarity builds empires, because you have to have clarity when you're digging into this stuff. And if you don't, chaos will kill your business, your thing. So anyway, so much more.
This whole talking about it part. I was actually thinking of this too as I do my financial freedom on Thursdays. I do some things with leadership on recruiting on Fridays. And so many people are afraid to talk about stuff, fearful of judgment or of looking bad, and not just allowing things to be out there. And I love on this chapter, you said chapter 11, he brings the quote from Gary Hamel in his book, Leading the Revolution. Every day, companies get blindsided by the future. Yet the future never arrives as a surprise to everyone in the organization. Someone somewhere was paying attention. In the example you said, Ann, Glenn was paying attention while he was at another brokerage. He actually went to the leadership with this model and They went with all of the here's why it won't work versus the let's figure out how to make it work. And Glenn's the one that then said, fine, I'll figure it out. And here a lot of you are playing in that space. Beth, your mic was hot as well. So what do you got?
Alphabetical. Hey, coach. Okay. So I'm looking at the book in maybe a different way than most. We're Cam here. As much as we like to look outside ourselves and say, oh, that guy's not a cool guy, or that process, I don't do that. It's bullshit. Honest to God, the reason we don't connect with Cam is because we see ourselves in some of the things that he does. And what I love about Stephen Farber is his ability to tell a story, not all that well, honestly. He's not telling a great story. He doesn't have great characters. But when we connect with him, when I connect with him and make it personal, all of a sudden I see, oh, crap, I can see where I did that. Yep, absolutely. And I can see I'm at the place where they've had lunch with Agnes. And so I'm a little ahead of the group. But, Cam's not off the hook, and it's uncomfortable. And we don't want to hear from Cam. We want to hear from Agnes, and we want to hear from Steve, and even Rich, who is plotting in the background to, submarine Cam or maybe save him. We don't know yet. But it's uncomfortable. And I feel like if we let that go, if we keep it outside of ourselves, we miss the whole point of the book.
And I appreciate that, we get to be a little more introspective about maybe where we are the naysayers, and we are the ones who think we know 100% the way this should be done, rather than being open to all the possibilities. That's the fun of this whole WUP process. The whole
That's right.
6 steps of this is that openness that it'll create. And there were some nuggets in here I'm going to give you guys a chance to bring up. And if not, I'm definitely going to make sure they happen today. So what else? What other takeaways do you guys have? I saw lots of mics on when I got here. All right, you have the floor yours.
I'm appreciating just, right in the first part of chapter 11. Sorry, I'll turn my sound down so that we don't get echoes. Okay, talking just Cam's response. Oh, actually, it was Smitty's saying, okay, so the next thing to do about all of these, because we had also talked about these. So step number 5 is talk about all the observations that we did and how to do those, how to talk about those observations. And, just Beth, like you were saying, okay, well, here's where I am. It's like, as I'm leading, talking with our team on Tuesday or Mondays, and going through the rush of the list and everybody catching whatever. And so what about now taking more time for me to take more time and write down what I see, so that I can think about it and be less to be more proactive instead of reactionary. But then just a whole new aha about how to talk about it with the team instead of talk to the team or talk at the people who are around me. Just finally seeing a way to be more genuinely listening to what they see, what's happening in the marketplace for them, and not it's just a new space even for me this morning compared to anything that I've done before. Just, it's like amazing the little things that you just don't know how to do. So it's such a simple thing.
And the material breaks it down easy for us, though. That's one of the things I love about Steve's writing. I mean, number one, I saw Celeste playing with hers is to carry it, have it with you. I have a journal book with me on my travels, in my workspace, where I can be writing those down. Hey, the same one with the little guys in the front, right? Yeah. So having this, using it, writing it down. Okay. So number one was carry, number two was scan. And there was something in the writing that I wanted to make sure I got in from that observation, that scanning. Observe, but don't judge. There was all kinds of section in here where he was mentioning in this particular scene about getting out of judgment. What do you mean by no judgment? I mean, you can't judge the book by its cover. I mean, just because it's not a match for you doesn't mean that it's not working in the universe. There's all kinds of things that we're looking at, as we've talked about before, through our deletions, distortions, and filters. So we see things a certain way and we snap judge everything. It's how that monkey mind was built. This process of carry, scan, and even eavesdrop, listening in on other people's conversations, will give you opportunity to practice being non-judgmental. Not only is it great for learning what's going on, it's an incredible skill that will open up more opportunity. Carrie, I see your mic's hot.
What I wanted to say is so bringing back the part where we were judging Cam or whatever. I just wanted to say that I think that this book for me, because I've also read it, super easy read. So, but I'm going back to actually each chapter as we go through it, or scene, or whatever you want to call it. So my thought is that this book to me emphasizes how important personalizing yourself to customer, client, etc., and how important discernment is. And to me, if you have discernment, I believe if you have discernment, you had to have empathy first to be able to discern. So, and that means putting people in your, being able to put yourself in other people's shoes to be able to understand the way they're behaving and how to take yourself and be able to, be flexible to that and be able to get on their level to have the appropriate conversation or interaction.
And I like you bringing in the piece of discernment, Carrie, because that may come as you get through all 6 of these steps. Well, at least the 5.
Right.
Because that discernment may come from your pondering step forward, thinking about it and processing it. And that discernment may get some enlightenment as you bring other people into the conversation and get other opinions that aren't yours. It's just going to call somebody out in the room right now. I am so excited that Beth is here, because there's many times her and I, having such different views on the world, come with totally different perspectives. And neither one is right, neither one is wrong. Both blended together make some pretty cool stuff happen. So Beth, I saw your mic hot again. Maybe you're just going to glow in my pouring upon you. What do you have?
Wow. Well, thank you for the kind words, Russ. Absolutely. One of the cool things about being in a group like this is that the humility that's required to serve and add value is a reminder to me every day, right? Because the more humble we are, the more approachable and empathetic we can be. And that awareness, man, it's just so critical to be able to meet people where they are. If you can't meet folks where they are, if I can't meet folks where they are, I miss the boat. My business has gone through the roof. I did really well last year, and I'm over double this year, and it's going to trend up next year because I've got stuff going already. And it's not because I'm really all that good at what I do. I just listen. I just really, really listen. And I spent, 30 years in the collision repair industry, and I know how to listen, at least to those folks. I'm not great everywhere, but I'm great in that tiny little place. And I think that and I know it, every single person here, what it took for the universe to come together to get us all together in the same time and place is just mind-boggling. There's 8 billion people on the planet, and here we are. And if everyone doesn't have something to say, they need to, because us as a group benefits so much more when everybody shares their thoughts and their perspective and where they've come from.
Oh, you mean this
You
is a
guys
WUP
might have
group?
even wanted to write that stuff down a minute, because I did. Meet people where they are. That's such a global concept that will make us more successful.
Yeah.
We always communicate with the intent of being heard. What if you were instead communicating with the intent of hearing other people?
But don't we really just want to drag people to where we are? I'm sorry for interrupting.
It's not an interruption. It was a perfect addition to what you said, because yes, that's how we behave historically. And yet your success, Beth, is a testament to getting out of that behavior, out of that pattern. So
That's
client,
right.
I've got you, and I'm absolutely looping back to Ann and Jeanette. I think both of them had something to add.
So just a super quick comment. There was a guy on the radio. He always says, listen, whenever you say something, I always laugh when I hear it. He said, put it where the goats can get it. Put it where the goats can get it. And what do goats do? They're right there. It's right in front of them. Whenever you do things, do it at such a level that it's simplistic. A lot of us are educated and we have these high levels of education. So we really relish in communicating it, saying these things at different high levels. But that simplicity of putting stuff where the goats can get it is something that I always laughed at when I heard.
There's another point about goats, and goats chew and eat and spit out and tear down, and goats can be some of the most interesting and frustrating animals to raise because they climb on everything. So there's a whole different level for me when I hear put it where the goats can get at it, because it's going to get used. It's going to be tested. It's going to be, and you may not like what the result is, but it will be different. There is no question about it. You watch some goats, and it takes a special person to raise goats. Number one, they've got a patience beyond Job. Sheep are different. They have a different type of patience that they take. They're just, so, and I haven't raised either, but my observations and talking to them, and there's a reason the Bible talks about sheep and goats, and anyway, both have a great place for them. But okay, so the part that I was thinking about is as Beth was talking about it, this is our WUP group here. So we can take notes and observe, and that's exactly what a mastermind is supposed to do. So we're learning how to be those masterminders, just so that we don't have to be a cam anymore. And there was something else I was going to say, I guess, about it, but it really is a pleasure being here. And now just even learning how to take these things someplace else is great. So anyway, if I figure out what the rest was, I'll show up again.
Well, there's definitely a place I want to take this room. And so rather than waiting till the end, I want to read into the room, because maybe not all of you got into the content. And I know not all of you were here a year ago when we read Radical Leap, which is the very first book Barbara wrote. Incredible content. And scene 12 is really about the letter from Edge, his mentor, who just magically showed up in his world. And so from that content, he's talking about Agnes. And we're going to learn about her. And tomorrow we're going to do the first half of Time with Agnes. And probably Friday we'll wrap up that entire time at Agnes's Diner. And yet I want to go into the letter, because as Agnes used to say, if you live in this world without ever attempting to change it, you will have sold a ruby for the price of Spam. Yeah, that's Agnes. She's a ruby if there ever was one. See, she owns a diner near the beach in Encinitas called the Wake Up Call. I spent a lot of hours there when I was a kid, hanging out there under Agnes's watchful eye whenever Pops was traveling, which was pretty damn awful. She was a woman who lived on the radical edge, and believe it or not, Pops learned a great deal from her, and so did I. And guess what? So will you. You need to go talk to Agnes Farber today. Go directly to the Wake Up Call. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Because here's what Agnes is going to share, and I'm going now earlier in his letter. Pops was the champion of audacity, of the need to have a bold and blatant disregard for normal constraints. But most important was his deep, unwavering devotion to the plight of the human condition and the challenge, joy, and ultimately responsibility of the human experience. To be an extreme leader, Pops would say, is really nothing more than the challenge to be fully human at work, at home, in the community, and in the world as a whole. And according to him, to be fully human means that you accept a radical level of personal responsibility for making the future markedly better than the present. You know, accountability has become an uncomfortable idea. It's that thing that people desperately want other people to take. These people need to be more accountable is an edict that I've heard more times than I can remember. Pop's message is this: you are accountable. You, whoever you are. Do you need to enlist other people? Of course. Do you have to make things happen all by your little lonesome? Of course not. The key to all of this, guys, and I want to make sure we're taking this out of this letter, is this accountability. I mean, I'm looking at this room right now. I'm looking today. There are 12 people plus me. We've had this room to 30 and 40. And yet the accountability to themselves to continue to personally grow obviously has slipped aside. As we heard from Dawn last week, those who don't read are no better off than those who can't.
That's right.
And yet in this section, he also talks about accountability to others, not of others, to others. Who else should be leaning in here, guys? Who else should we be pouring into? It's a big mantra for me for 2025, is that I am here to serve. It's about you guys. It's about the others in your world. I am in a place of service. My entire mission statement is about service. I'm optimistic that I'm going to be infecting you guys with the same energy going forward, because that's how we're going to truly change our world, others' worlds, and the world. Beth, the floor is yours.
You know, the service piece of it really, really hits my soul. The more I serve, the better I feel. Michael Singer says, and if you haven't read any of his stuff, I strongly encourage you to pick up any one of his books. The most favorite one is The Surrender Experiment. And then he teaches all sorts of stuff after that. But one of the things he says is, I made it my mission in life to make sure that I left every present moment better than I found it. Every present moment, not in the future, not in the past. You can't do anything about any of those two things. But service is all about being in the present moment, being personally accountable to that moment, and making it better, adding value however you can. And it needs awareness, right? It needs for us to be aware to be in the present moment. It needs for us to be humble and not know everything, because, you know, God, the whole purpose of being on the planet is to learn as much as we possibly can while we're here. It's not to tell people as much as we can while we're here. There's a part of that, right? But man, that humility and the service, it's just speaks to my soul.
And the fun part of that humility and service together, it winds up making your life very rich in all areas. And Beth is a great example of that. Man, she is kicking butt. And Afritha, I saw your mic. What do you got, my dear?
One thing that kind of stood out to me was the just breaking down the actual whoop, right? Wake up pad. And I guess, kind of to go off what Beth was just saying, it's like, are we awakened to that point where we're here to learn as much as we can in every moment from everyone, great or small, right? That wake up, like awakening myself to live in a sphere where everything I'm learning, I'm not judging, right? Judgment free, but where you could just explore. You can just be creative, right? Whether you're writing it down, whether you're sitting with the thoughts, whether you're talking with someone, are we awakening? Like, for me, it's like, okay, how can I show up woke, quote unquote, every day, ready to learn, ready to serve, ready to give? And it is the accountability piece, right? Because just like we kind of, what book was that? I think it was this one, The Ultimate Sales Machine. How he talks about not just being the realtor, right? You are the realtor. You are the go-to person for everything. You probably know the vet to take the pet, the doctors, the school for your college student. You know everything. And not as that you know everything, right? But you're in tune just a little bit to direct them to the right place where the focus isn't just real estate. And so reading and listening to the book is like, okay, I'm with you, Beth. Like, my passion is service. Like, to my core, it's service. How do I stay in that realm and allow myself to continue to elevate while I share what I have to give with the world and holding myself accountable that I am not just a realtor, right? You are not just a realtor. What else do you bring with that? That is just one title. However, we have many resources, many gifts, many things to offer our clients. And many of them, if you guys notice, once we start pouring into them, they're like eating it up. They're like waiting for more. They're coming back and want to know what else you got. And you're the expert in real estate, but then they come to you with other stuff and asking you for your opinion and your ideas. And what do you think? And for me, that's the wake up in knowing that I'm not just a realtor. I'm a bridge. I forgot how it is brought to me, but I understand that I'm a bridge, and that's what I'm here for. But I guess I put it in the room. Are we woke, and are we constantly awakening ourselves to give the best that we have and learn in the process?
I gotta say something to Freetha. You just lit me up right there. It's the personal responsibility that you share with the world. It allows people to be personally responsible as well. It inspires others to show up the way you show up. That's what you're here on the planet to do. And you just inspired me to be a better person today. Thank you. That's awesome.
Well, thank you.
So here's
You
a couple
poured
of
into
ways you
me
can
and
show
we
up
poured
today.
into each other. And I guess that's how we keep growing.
That's how it works.
A couple other places you can show up today. One, it's Wired Wednesday, 1 to 2 o'clock today with Maria, learning your database right here in the Renegade Room. All right. And then 2 to 5 conversation time right here. 4 hours in this room. Change your week. It's hump day. Make it a good one. I'm going to continue to get healthy. I will see you guys around later today. I know I've got lots of you on my calendar. Anything you need, I'm just a phone call, text, or appointment away. We'll see you soon.